Do you want a child behavior checklist for ages 6 to 16? I've got one for you. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, I'm going to give you a great checklist. When children are ages 6 to 16, they are still in what I call the reform process. In fact, when they're tiny toddlers, we're doing some training of the basics of the skill development that they need. So we're still going to keep that training going forward, but they should know better about a lot of things. Now we can do better training for them. Once they pass age 16, they start preparing for launching into adulthood. And so we change the tone of the training just a little bit. I won't be talking about that in this video either. Instead, we're going to talk about the basic skills that your child needs in order to be successful and be self-governing ages 6 through 16. When we make a checklist, we're basically asking ourselves, what do we still need to teach? Okay? What can our child do? So here's the checklist that you want to be thinking about. Number one is calmness. Can they be calm? Can they be calm when you tell them no? Can they be calm when you give them an instruction? Can they be calm when they're expressing their opinion or they disagree with you about something? Can they be calm when they don't get their way? Can they be calm when they have to do something they didn't want to do? Do they have the skill development so that they know when they are calm and when they're not calm? Have you trained them on that yet? Because they should know, what is a calm face? What is a calm voice? What is a calm body? Do they know how their brains work with calmness and with frustration and stress and aggression? Do they know those things? Calmness is a key thing. In fact, if a person understands calmness, what they do when they're calm and when they're not calm, they now have the key piece of solving almost all of their issues. Because if they can stay calm when communicating or when somebody else is not calm, now suddenly they can communicate effectively, they can get their way more, they can mature better. They can handle their problems when they talk to other people. So do you see this stack of 15 books? I've written all these books and they are all about self-government. The latest books in this stack relate to calmness. Because even though I had all of these other books in place, people were still struggling with their calmness and with understanding how their brain works. And that's a vital part of training for anyone, adults and children. Do you know why you keep losing control, getting frustrated and stressed? Are you a perfectionist and don't see a way out? That's what this book is about, the power of calm. It's a powerful book. And in here, there's also books for children, right? These 3 books help teach the children how their brain works. This is Brain Power. It's the Calm Crew series. How their brain works. This one is Planning Power and how to make a calm plan for themselves. This one here, Choosing Power, and how to choose calmness in the moment when it's hard. These Calm Crew books all come in a series, actually, for children. When you teach your children about calmness, suddenly they're free. Suddenly you have less contention and they have less stress and anxiety in their lives. So that's the first thing we want to get to, is calmness. Some other books in that big stack relate to the 4 basic skills. There are 4 books in there that teach the children the 4 basic skills of self-government. I'd like to talk about one of those right now, which is accepting no answers. So, can your child accept a no answer? That should be on the checklist. What does that mean? Well, are they going to say okay when mom tells them no to something? If there's a boundary line that they shouldn't be crossing over, can they keep themselves not crossing over the boundary line? If you've told them no about something, can they drop the subject, or do they keep whining, complaining, nagging about it? Are they able to stay calm in a moment? Do they maintain respectful body language? Do they sulk, complain? Then they're not accepting no answers. A person who can accept no answers, maintains appropriate body language, they can say okay, be okay, they can drop the subject or disagree appropriately if needed. That brings me to another thing on the checkoff list. Another one of those children's books is a book about disagreeing appropriately. Can your child seek to understand somebody else before they share their point of view? If not, they need the skill disagreeing appropriately. When a person disagrees appropriately, that means that they can stay calm. They can look at the other person or the circumstance. They can say they understand the other person's point of view, share their point of view, listen to what they have to say okay, and drop the subject. One of my books called Paige Takes the Stage teaches that skill to children. What about following instructions? That should be on our checklist. Does your child say okay to you when you give them a task to do? Do they actually go and do it immediately? Do they stay on task while they're doing it? Do they come back and tell you at the end when they've accomplished that task so that you get the opportunity to teach them cause and effect and to praise them for that? Do they know how to give themselves an instruction and follow through? So when there's a certain wake-up time, can they govern that? When there's a hygiene thing that they need to do, like take a shower or brush their teeth, are they able to tell themselves to do an instruction and follow through? Those are the signs of a person who's truly self-governing. If they can give themselves instructions and follow through, give themselves no answers, disagree appropriately with others, and then also accept consequences and do self-corrections. Can your child accept consequences? That is the fourth book in the children's series of the 4 basic skills. The book is called Big Win for Quinn. In that book, the child learns that they get the opportunity to accept consequences in order to learn self-government, and that they need to take personal responsibility for the choices and the behaviors that they've had. So they learn that they can be calm. They learn that they can say okay or disagree appropriately. They learn to go and do a consequence, follow through, check back about that, drop the subject, all of those things. Does your child complain? Do they whine? Do they not do their consequences when they've earned the consequences? Are you constantly trying to do things to the child to get them to learn cause and effect because they don't know how to accept a consequence? Then they need that skill, accepting consequences. We can't talk about a child behavior checklist without talking about self-regulation. Does your child understand their emotional state? Do they know how to regulate themselves? This is something you're going to be teaching throughout their lives. Do they know how to identify their emotions and their feelings, and that there is a difference between the two? If you've already subscribed to this channel, then you know that I do lots of videos about emotions and feelings and stuff, and that there is a difference. Do they know that opportunity when they get to make a choice about their emotional responses? Do they become aggressive or destructive when they don't get their way? When they're frustrated, do they commonly go out of control? If so, then they need to learn some emotional regulation skills, which means that they need to understand how their brain works. They need to understand about calmness for themselves, and they need a plan for calmness. I have a plan for calmness that I teach in my parenting program. It's called the Rule of 3. And it's part of my intensive teaching. So in fact, there's 2 different ways that we do intensive teaching. The Rule of 3 is for children that are like age maybe 5 or 6 and older. So for ages 6 to 16, the Rule of 3 would be the intensive teaching that you would use for that child to help them get to a place of self-regulation so that you could actually handle your problem. If a person understands emotional regulation, then they also know when to talk about their problem. They know after they get calm, that's a good time to talk about it. Here's some things on a checklist for ages 6 to 16. What about respect of other people? Does your child know how to listen to other people? Do they know how to not touch other people's things and get in other people's spaces? Are they kind to other people? Do they say nice words to them? And do they know how to solve their problems with them? Do they use disagree appropriately skills with their friends too? Do they listen when other people speak to them? That's a sign of good respect to other people. Do they also respect other people's boundaries, not get in other people's spaces? That's a sign of good respect of other people. What about responsibility? In the responsibility category on our checklist, we should probably ask ourselves things like, does my child admit when they do stuff wrong? Do they know that their behavior is their responsibility? Do they follow through on tasks? That would be accepting responsibility. Do they complete tasks without even being asked? So let's say they were eating on a plate. Do they take the plate over to the dishwasher and wash it and put it away without even being asked? That's taking responsibility. When mistakes are brought to their attention, do they fix those mistakes? That would also be taking responsibility. This is what a person can do if they self-correct. So a self-governed person knows that when something is brought to their attention that needs correcting, that they should take it seriously and address it, not choose to be offended by it. They should be able to be calm and honestly acknowledge that they have to make a change. That brings me to honesty. So here's some honesty things for your checklist. Does your child accept their consequences? Again, that's an honesty thing. Can you have conversations with them about things that have gone wrong, and can they admit? Again, honesty. Do they tell the truth even when it's difficult, even when it might make them look bad? That's a sign that they are doing really well in their honesty. If they're honest, they would not hide or manipulate facts. They wouldn't tell you just what you need to know and not anything else. They would tell you the full picture. They'd keep things open. They'd communicate openly. If they're able to do that, then they're being honest. We could keep adding to this checklist, but I'm just going to add one more, and that is, do they have an understanding of self-government and the big picture of their lives? When they understand the big picture of their lives and their family, then they understand what a family is, why it's important, what is the role of mother, what is the role of father, what is their role as child? Who are they to each other? Where are you headed? Do they know all of these things? Do they know the why behind all of this parenting stuff? Because if not, we could get caught in the details. Another one of the books in my big stack is this one called Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. This is a fantastic read aloud book for ages like 6 or 7 and up. This family in this book have a hard time understanding their roles. And so they argue a lot. They don't help each other out. They don't take responsibility. They're all stuck in kind of a selfish place, and they're very disconnected. And then you see how they fix their roles and how you could do it too. It opens a lot of good conversation for our children to talk about the why. If they can understand the why of a family, then they're going to be more confident having a family in the future. And let's be honest, we do have a problem nowadays with people not wanting to have what we want: children and a family, and it's because they lack the skills that they should have developed when they were young. So use this checklist I've created and get a lot more help too. I go into a lot more detail about some of the things on this checklist on my next video, which is the not so known secret for parenting success. Go to that video next. I'll see you there.